Watch your step, please.
Just raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's write this chair in here.
All right, good morning, sir. If you could just pull that microphone close to you, if you could just keep your voice up so everybody can hear you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now, sir, just for the record, you are Curt Phennanstiehl, the same witness who testified at the time we broke on Friday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Phennanstiehl, you were aware that Ms. McLean and Harry Tuerk were in a relationship going all the way back to June of 19, right?
Yes.
Did you know them when she moved into his house after dating for about 4 months or so?
I think I met him after that.
Okay. And do you remember when you spoke to the police, for example, Sergeant John Fanning from the Massachusetts State Police, a detective? You spoke with him, right? You may not remember his name, but you spoke to a state detective, state police?
Yes.
Okay. And you've had a chance to review your police reports, right?
I don't think so.
Would you agree with me that it was on May 15th at 2020 around 6 o'clock that you were interviewed initially by the police, being Chief McGowan from Dover Police as well as Detective Fanning from the State Police?
I think so, yes.
Okay, and that interview took place in your driveway, if you remember?
I think so, yes.
All right. And you knew that they had found Ms. McLean at that point, is that correct?
Yes.
And you knew that this was basically a homicide investigation that was being performed, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that obviously the person who was deceased was Ms. McLean, right?
Yes.
And you knew that the police would be looking into various people that could possibly be suspects and things of that nature, right?
Yes.
And one of the things would be if a person was having a relationship with somebody. They may very well, usually, it's a husband or a boyfriend or something like that, right?
Yes.
So you were concerned about whether or not you would be in the crosshairs of this investigation, right?
Sure.
So as a result of your concern, and prior to speaking to the police, you deleted a number of texts, correct?
I guess so, yes.
You guess so. If I suggest to you, sir, that a review, let me back up. When you gave your phone to the police to have the phone done, you knew that they were going to use some device to get into your phone and pull out the text, emails, photographs, things like that, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Did you tell the police that you had texts on your phone?
I don't recall.
Well, you did tell them about receiving the text from Harry at 3:30 or whatever in the morning, right? Correct?
Yeah.
He was a devil, we know that, right? Did you tell the police that you had a number of texts going back to June 14th of 2019 that were deleted?
No, they didn't ask me that.
They didn't ask, okay. Now, when you gave your phone to the police, they extracted what they could, which would really be a handful of text, is that right?
Objection.
Sustained. Rephrase it, please.
Do you know how many texts the police got out of your phone?
I have no idea.
Did the police ever talk to you about your phone?
No.
Did the police ever ask you one question about whether or not you had any type of a relationship with Ms. McLean?
No.
So, you know that during the course of this litigation that I was able to access her phone and have a phone dump on her phone. If I suggest to you, sir, that there are 5,173 texts that you deleted, would that refresh your memory this morning?
Objection.
Overruled. He can answer that. You can answer it, sir.
I don't know how many there were.
I'm sorry?
I wouldn't know how many.
But there were a lot, right?
I guess so.
Okay. Where did you delete the text? Were you like sitting in your kitchen or were you out in your backyard? Where did you delete it?
I don't recall.
You don't recall? In your conversations, and when I say conversations at this point with Ms. McLean, sir, would you agree with me that there would be warnings between the two of you, if you will. Reference to page 439, and this would be November 7th of 2019 conversation. You indicated to Ms. McLean, please be careful. You got any text?
No.
No? You recall conversations where she indicated to you, and this would be on page 440, Harry's in his office, I'm in the kitchen, and then you said, we'll talk later. Remember that, sir?
No.
How about 441, where you indicated to Ms. McLean, November 8th, 2019, erase our conversation. What was that?
I have no idea.
Did you ever, to your knowledge, sir, tell her to erase that conversation?
I don't remember saying that.
It's on your text. Why would you tell her to erase that conversation?
I have no idea.
November 17th of 2019, this is representation of representative. You recall, sir, they're texting her and then making reference to texts on the cell, erase mine, please. Remember that?
No, I don't.
When you were speaking with the police, sir, in the driveway, they were asking you, because obviously you were an important, potentially, witness of their relationship. They meaning Harry Tuerk and Ms. McLean, right? You were a potential witness to their relationship, right?
I guess so, yes.
You indicated that you had known, and this again would be on June 5th, strike that, May 15th of 2020. Let's call it the driveway conversation, okay? That's May 15th of 2020, right? Okay?
Yeah.
That'd be the day that she was discovered, is that correct?
Yeah, I guess so, yes.
Okay. I mean, that was obviously something that was of monumental importance to you in your life, wasn't it?
What? I'm sorry.
That's all right, that they found her body in a pond?
Yeah.
Okay. And you wanted to be helpful and cooperative with the police, right?
Yeah.
And when you were talking to the police, they asked you how long, again, have in mind, this is back in May of 2020, that they asked you how long you had known Harry and Katie, right? Do you remember that?
That they asked me how long I knew him?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a normal question a cop would ask, right?
Sure.
And how long, as of May 2020, had you known him?
I don't recall, like, I don't remember.
You guys remember that? How long?
If the witness could answer.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Just ask it again, Mr. Reddington,
Good.
please.
How long, as of May of 2020, did you know Harry and Ms. McLean?
I don't recall when exactly I met him.
Would it refresh your memory, sir, if you told the police that you had known them for about 2 to 3 years? You want me to show it to you?
No, I believe you.
Okay. Do you recall indicating to the police that you had known both Harry and Ms. McLean for 2 to 3 years, and that you stayed friends with them over that period of time, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Tell them that? You told them that you were a closer friend of Katie, right? If you want to see it, let me know.
Yes, she was a friend of mine.
Okay. And that you knew that they got married in Las Vegas in February of 2020, right? You knew that.
Yeah.
And you knew that from her, right? Correct?
Yeah.
The first time that you heard of Katie and Harry having an altercation was when Katie filed a restraining order against Harry, is what you told the police, right?
What do you mean? Did they tell me that?
Okay. You remember the conversation in the driveway, right?
With the police?
Yes, with the police, sir, yes.
Okay.
Okay. And do you remember indicating that you first heard about Katie and Harry having an altercation this winter when Kate filed a restraining order against Harry? Those are your words to the police.
Okay.
Okay, okay?
Yeah.
That's correct, right?
Yeah.
And when you say, yeah, you mean basically that you agree that the first time you heard was when Katie filed the restraining order in May of 2020, right?
Objection as to form.
Okay, sustained. Rephrase it, please.
Would you agree with me, sir, that you indicated that you first heard about Katie and Harry having an altercation was when she filed the restraining order against Harry? Yes or no?
I think so, yes.
Do you remember talking to the police in the driveway?
I don't really remember the conversation.
When you were being prepared for your testimony in this case, sir, anybody ever take a police report with your statement in it and show it to you?
No.
So I'm going to show you Curt Phennanstiehl, excuse me, right? You, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this would be when the detectives were making their notes or putting their report together as to their interview with you in the driveway, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And read that to yourself, sir, the bottom line about when you first heard it. See if that refreshes your memory.
Okay.
Okay? Does that refresh your memory, sir?
Yeah.
When was the first time that you heard about an altercation between Kate McLean and Harry?
I guess it was on that day.
And that day meaning when she filed a restraining order against him?
I guess so, yes.
And that would be in May of 2020, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, February of 2020. Right?
Yes.
You guessed. But you knew when he was thrown out of the house, right?
Yes.
Now, you knew that they had been in a relationship, obviously we've established that, in 2 to 3 years, you knew that, right?
Yes.
And you knew when they got married, right?
Yeah.
And you knew they were married for about 4 to 5 months, and then she got the restraining order, correct?
I guess so, yes.
That's when he was ordered out of the house, his house, right?
Okay.
She stayed in his house with the 3 kids, right?
Yeah.
And you knew that, correct?
Yeah.
Because you were over there on occasion, right?
Yeah.
And how many times have you gone over there?
I have no idea how many times.
Was it to talk about Reiki?
I was there for Reiki, yes.
Oh, we were there for, you had Reiki with her in the house?
Yeah.
How many times did you do that?
Once.
Objection asked and answered.
Okay, overruled. That may stand.
So during this period of time, that when I say this period of time, I mean that he is out of the house, fair to say that you continue to ramp up, if you will, the texting with her, right? You texted a lot, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay. Your relationship with Harry, you would agree at least that you were friends. Maybe I think you would say you're not best friends, but you were close friends with Harry, correct?
Friends, yeah.
Well, he thought you were close friends, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
So he sent you the text saying, Curt, I'm sorry, brother, but she's a vindictive devil. She played us all. I'm really sorry, brother, but she manipulated us all. Love you. Harry, he sent that to you, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't just send that randomly to some guy that you knew as an acquaintance, would you?
Objection.
Sustained.
So you then had occasion to speak to the police. How many times did you speak to the police, by the way, if you recall?
I don't recall.
What?
I don't recall.
You were texting her back in February of 2020, like on February 22nd, literally about 2 weeks, 3 weeks after he was out of the house, you were texting her, correct?
I guess so.
Now you, from February of 20 to March of 20 to April of 20 into the beginning of May of 20, you didn't have many texts with Harry, did you?
I don't recall.
So you recall that on February 22nd of 2020, you were advised by Ms. McLean, this would be page 830, that she had pulled her back and it was sore. Do you remember that, sir?
No.
Do you recall asking, how's your back? And then saying, when she said it's sore, come here, I'll fix it. I can massage you. Do you remember saying that to her? He was out of the house for 3 weeks.
No.
Did you talk to Harry at all in that time frame that you recall on the phone?
I don't recall.
Did you know where he was, sir, other than some nebulous down in Florida? Did you know where he was staying?
No.
You knew it was at the height of the pandemic, or the pandemic that basically the world was shut down, right?
Okay.
You knew you couldn't talk to people, you had to wear masks, and you had to social distance. This is before you could even eat dinner behind plexiglass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Did you talk to Harry at all and find out how he was doing or where he was staying or what?
I don't recall.
But you stayed in touch with Kathleen McLean, didn't you?
Yeah, just as friends.
As just as friends. No big deal, right? I mean, you would have the respect for a guy's married wife, right? Correct?
Yeah.
You wouldn't ask to see her boobs, would you?
No.
Objection.
Well, you did.
Objection.
Sustained.
Excuse me. Can I see the side about that?
Yes.
Oh, 889. Excuse me. Again, sir, your phone is the 4714, correct?
Yes.
Her phone is the 9407, correct?
Yes.
And this is page 889. You see that text from you to Ms. McLean, sir? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when was that?
On 3/2/20.
March 2nd of 2020. What did you say to her?
I want to see your boobs.
I want to see your boobs. Did she show you her boobs?
I don't recall.
You don't recall? Give me that, please. In the same conversation, sir, do you recall that the two of you were talking about the pandemic and her state of mind, and was that she had it on a reliable source, that they're going to implement shelter in place, and that they had the National Guard called in. Do you recall her saying that to you?
No.
Do you recall discussing the pandemic with her? Do you
No.
recall discussing friends that you knew that had died from the pandemic with her?
No.
Do you recall her discussing with you friends that had died, relatives in the pandemic, sir?
I don't really recall who.
And you were living in your house at this time, right?
Yeah.
You were safe in your house, weren't you?
Yeah.
And she was living in Harry's house, right?
I guess so.
You want to mark those for ID, Mr. Reddington?
Yes, Your Honor. Do you recall asking her to put on her best sexy outfit, telling her she's bad and naughty?
Objection.
Sustained.
No.
Did you ever recall, sir, that you went over to, this would be on page 1307. Do you recall, now this is April 10th of 2020. You knew in April of 2020 that Harry and his wife were in the process of trying to negotiate a settlement, right?
I don't recall that.
Well, you recall, you knew, let's do it like this. You knew that they were separated, correct?
I guess so.
You knew he was living out of state in Florida, correct?
Yeah.
Because you had talked to him. You knew he was living in a trailer, right?
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, I guess. What?
What is that you just said there, Grunt? What is that?
I guess so, yeah.
All right, he's living in a trailer and he would talk to you very seldomly to let you know where he was staying, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Recall him sending you a text that you would forward it to Katie LOL because he had said to you that he was in dire fear of dying in the pandemic and that it was not good, Curt? Remember that one?
I don't really remember, but yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, and that he was in dire fear of dying from the pandemic and that he told you it's not good and that he was not well and asked if he could stay with you, right?
He did ask me that.
Right, you said I'll get back to you on that, let's have dinner. What you said, right?
I guess so, yeah.
You recall that April 10th of 2020, she sent you a text that he said, I got an email, he's not negotiating us staying here. He's not negotiating, remember that?
No.
When she said to you, us staying here, that would mean her and her 3 kids staying in his house, right?
I guess so.
And he's not negotiating, and she was upset about that, right?
I guess so.
And you then responded, come on. Remember that?
No.
And then she said, so I got to move forward. Remember that?
No.
And then you said, with what? She said, everything. She said, if he's not negotiating, then this leaves me no choice. And then you went on and said, he's crazy to keep going. You told him, right? You told her.
I guess so.
And then she said, he'll be broke from lawyers. Right? Did you recall anything about those conversations, sir?
No, I
Do
don't.
you recall her ever reaching out to you for advice or assistance with her negotiations?
No, I don't really recall that.
Double I for identification.
As it relates to her state of mind, sir, on April 21st, when things were really heightening with the pandemic, do you recall, this would be page 1465, that she told you 2 friends' parents died yesterday?
Objection.
Sustained.
Does that at least refresh your memory as to further conversations?
Objection.
Sustained.
Well, okay, mark for ID, please.
Double J for identification.
And then, on April 23rd, sir, page 1493, is when you indicated you sent her a text in the morning, "I'm still in bed, help me." And then she told you that she was talking to people on the phone. Do you recall that, telling her you were in bed?
Form.
Sustained, rephrase it, please.
Do you recall, around April, the end of April, 2004, you were texting her and started off the morning by saying, "I'm still in bed"? Do you remember that?
No.
Do you recall texting her and her indicating, around that time, "I'm on the phone"? And she was on the phone with a number of people, and you kept asking her when she was going to be able to FaceTime and text you.
Objection.
Sustained.
Good.
Sustained.
Do you recall during the course of that conversation, if you don't recall, that she said, "You are so naughty, you're a bad, bad boy"? Do you remember that?
Sustained.
No.
Do you recall indicating, sir, that I'll talk to him because she was complaining that he still would not settle the case? Do you remember that, sir?
No.
You don't recall saying you'll talk to him?
Huh?
You don't recall saying, "I'll talk to him," meaning Harry?
I might have. I don't.
Right, you might have. And when you say to her, because she was complaining that he wouldn't settle, and you said, "I'll talk to him," what was that about? What were you going to say to him? Were you going to advise him?
I don't remember.
What?
I don't remember.
Did you ever talk to him about settling the case, the probate case?
I don't recall.
April 23rd? No, you don't remember?
They pay for identification.
Do you recall, sir, that she actually shared with you in detail the negotiations that she had with Harry about getting the house or getting on the deed of the house, about him giving her money on a post-nup agreement? She talked to you about that. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. I don't think she did.
Okay, do you remember her saying, "Harry's not getting the things I was saying" during a joint meeting that they had of lawyers and Kate McLean and Harry? "I think Harry didn't get the things I'm saying because they kept muting me." This is back when you had to do things by Zoom. You remember her saying that to you?
No, I don't.
And that she said this has to be wrapped up no later than May 1st, him home because of the virus? Do you remember anything like that?
No, this is like 5 years ago. I don't remember.
Yeah. Do you remember saying, "Okay, I'll talk to him"? And that would be this, page 1513. "I'll talk to him." Again, what are you going to talk to him about?
I don't recall.
Were you going to call him up as a guy that's kind of not a good friend, just an acquaintance, and give him advice on what he should do about the house and settling it and giving her the house?
That's not my choice.
Sustained, rephrase it, please.
Do you remember her saying, "As long as he agrees to the post-nup, we're okay"?
I don't remember that.
And then you said, "I'll call you." So you have basically, you have no memory, sir, apparently at all, of assisting her in the sense of talking to him about settling the probate case, the divorce between the two of them, right? Is that right?
Right.
LL for identification.
Do you recall 1596, where she was complaining that he was complaining about being in Florida, and she said to you, well, he's not trying to take care of 3 kids and a dog, and you're like, right, I agree, and then she said, he has tons of money. Do you remember that, sir?
I don't really remember it, but if it says that.
What?
I don't remember it, but if it says that.
Right, and then you say, yup. And that she then said, his state of mind, he's saying he can't stay at a hotel, he's afraid of COVID. And this is back in May 5 of 2020. She's sharing with you, confiding in you, her conversations with her husband that was saying he couldn't stay in a hotel because he's afraid of COVID. May 5, 20. Remember that?
I guess he was, yeah.
Yeah, I guess he was, because he'd already texted you a couple of times about his death fear about that, right?
Yeah.
And you said, I agree, is what you said, sir. Right?
Yeah.
Do you recall responding, tell him to suck it up?
No.
On May 6th, do you recall sending her a text saying, I'll meet you in the garage in 5? Do you recall that, sir?
No.
Is that one of the days that you recall going to the garage?
I don't know why I would have gone to the garage.
Okay. Do you remember telling her on May 6th at 6:41 p.m.? And again, 4714 is your phone, 9407 is her phone, right?
Yeah.
And showing you this, sir. Text. Tell her I'll meet you in the garage.
I guess.
You guess. And then you said in 5. Tell her that?
Yeah.
Objection as to procedure at this point.
Procedure?
Okay, so ask him if it refreshes his recollection.
Does that refresh your memory, sir, that you told her that you'd meet her in the garage in 5?
I guess so.
Okay. And then when she responded, I'm just too good to you. Do you recall that, sir?
Right there.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
Okay. And have in mind that this would be on May 6th, 2020, at, make sure I read that right, 6:42 in the evening, right?
Yeah.
6:45, okay? You met her in the garage, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what did you do in the garage?
I think she gave me food for some reason.
She gave you food.
Yeah, it was like, wasn't that around the holiday? I didn't have family around, and
What holiday? This is May 6th.
she had like friends over or whatever, had extra food, and I don't remember.
So without having at least any text conversation, you knew that she had food, so you said, I'll come to the garage and see you in 5?
No, I don't really recall the whole thing. I don't.
So May 6th, 2020, at 7:09, which is about 20 minutes later, she texted you, you were so nervous. It was cute. My mind was racing. And you responded, me too. You remember that, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, why was your mind racing and why were you nervous?
Because I didn't want to be at that house.
Sustained. Wait for the objection, sir. Go ahead, next question.
Do you recall her indicating, I'm going to come?
No.
Objection.
Okay, overrule, next question.
Well,
And for
would you agree, sir, that you were in love with Kate McLean?
Was I what?
That you were in love or had feelings for Kate McLean?
Just as friends.
Just as friends. Do you recall, and this would be on May 7th, page 1639, texting her, I think you and I are feeling the same. And then you texted again, hello, and then you texted again. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Just friends.
So when you said, I think you and I are feeling the same, After all this time, you were just friends?
I don't know why, but just friends.
And finally, sir, around page 1646, and she's providing you information as to her state of mind about her husband's condition during the pandemic, and I think she's objecting.
Ask the question.
She indicated to you that she was upset. You said, why? What happened? She indicated to you he's hurt and he needs my help. And then she said he's hurt. He looks bad. And you asked, how was your visit with him? She said, he looks bad, Curt, very bad. He's on tons of medication, high blood pressure. You said, sad. Yeah, it's more his spirit. It's collapsed. He's different.
Objection.
No, overruled.
She share that with you, sir?
I guess she did.
Did you care?
Of course, you don't want someone to, be hurting or anything.
And then you asked her, how was he towards you? And then she responded, so gentle and loving. Kept tearing up, saying, I love you so much, Katie. I never was made love by him like that last night. And you said, that's good. Do you recall her sharing that with you?
I mean, if you say so, there.
What?
If you read it, yeah.
Double P for the.
May I see the other texts that have been introduced right here? Thank you. Your Honor, based on the foundation and the fact clearly that this witness has adopted these texts and has indicated they are from his phone to her phone, rather than just read them or offer them in evidence now as a substantive exhibit.
Objection.
Okay, the objection sustained.
Can I approach the side?
Yes.
further questions.
Good morning, Mr. Phannanstiehl. So you were asked some questions about whether you recall assisting Ms. McLean and Dr. Tuerk in reconciling. Do you remember having conversations with them separately when they were separated about them reconciling?
Not really. I don't really remember, but
If either of them asked you to assist with that, would it make sense to you that that's something that you would do?
yeah, I might have. Yeah.
Okay. And during, you asked some questions about May of 2020. During that time period, do you recall that it was during the COVID pandemic?
Yes.
And you met with the police in the driveway, and I think you said on direct that that was in part due to the pandemic?
Yes.
Okay. Normally, would you have invited the police into your home?
Sure.
Okay. And I think you were asked about May 15th, meeting with the police in your driveway, and Mr. Reddington said that Katie was deceased at that point in time and had been found. Do you remember what day it was that Katie was found?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not 100%.
All right. Do you know whether or not Katie was missing or whether or not she had been found at the pond on the time that you met with them?
I don't think she was found when I met with them.
I'm sorry, can you say that last part?
I don't think she was found when I met with them.
So the first time you met with the police, she was just missing?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And the police asked to see your cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you understand why they wanted to see your cell phone?
Yeah. From the text message that Harry sent me.
Okay. And you agreed to provide them with your cell phone, right?
Yes.
All right. And why do you think that you deleted text messages with Katie? What makes you believe that you did that?
I don't know.
Do you know if you did that?
I don't know when I did it.
Okay, but Mr. Reddington asked you a question about deleting text messages. Do you know that you deleted text messages?
I'm not sure if I did or I did later on, I think, because I did. I don't know.
Later on, meaning after you met with the police?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember that?
I think so, yeah.
All right, but what we're talking about is before May 15th, before you handed your phone to the police. Had you deleted text messages at that time? Do you know?
I don't recall when I.
You don't know. Okay. All right, may I approach, Your Honor?
The witness?
Yes.
Yes.
And do you recall speaking with Dr. Tuerk in April about reconciliation over text?
I might have, but I don't remember exactly.
May I approach?
You may.
I'm just going to ask you to read this to yourself, starting on page 19 and going to page 28. And does that refresh your memory about whether or not the defendant asked you to help communicate with Katie regarding reconciliation?
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe that you did do that?
Yeah.
You said at some point you met Katie in her driveway or garage and she gave you some food. Would it make sense to you that that was cake?
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember what it was.
Okay. And then you were asked some questions about asking to see parts of Katie's body. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And did Katie agree to do that?
I don't remember.
Okay, may I approach?
You may.
I'm handing you 4 pages, starting 890, going to 894. Can you read the whole conversation? Does that refresh your memory?
Yep.
Did she agree?
No.
And you were asked some questions about a conversation about massaging her back. Do you recall those questions?
No.
Do you recall the questions that Mr. Reddington asked
Oh,
you?
yes.
Okay. And did Katie allow you to massage her back?
No.
And what did she say about why not? Do you recall?
No, I don't.
May I approach?
You may.
Showing you 4 pages, 830 to 834, 5 pages. You can look at that. Does that refresh your memory?
Yep.
What did she say about why not?
Because it's something about cheating.
She said that it would be cheating.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you were asked about a conversation where in June of 2019, where Katie said it was like a soap opera and that she'd been engaged in consensual sexual relationships with her husband, and then she said it was a soap opera. Do you remember those questions yesterday or Friday?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. And do you recall what that conversation was about other than that topic?
No.
May I approach?
You may.
Going from pages 73 to 77. Can you read those to yourself, please? Does that refresh your memory about what that conversation was about?
Yeah.
What was it?
About a safe place for her kids so they could finish up school, their IEP.
That was what she was concerned about?
Yeah.
And why was she concerned about that?
Because her son had special needs, I think. He had IEP.
How did that relate to the conversation with Harry? May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm going to direct you to one particular spot.
So this one. Said, tell him not to keep telling you to leave. And she said, I have.
Okay.
And she said, I say that's crossing the line. I have no security, but it's more about the IEP and schools. I was able to get Sam into Landmark. Now he goes Monday.
All right. Did you talk with Katie about her concerns about not having somewhere to live?
I'm sorry, say again?
Did you talk with Katie about her concerns about not having somewhere to live?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay. Do you recall speaking with her about her concerns about the children in the Dover schools?
Yes.
All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
So you knew all about her concerns about her son because he had some special needs, and her concerns about having him stay in the town of Dover for their school, right?
Yeah.
And you knew that she wanted to stay in Harry's house with her 3 kids because she liked the school system, right?
Yes.
Yes. And while she was living with Harry, you knew from your conversations with her that went back almost a year, that in fact he was the one that would go to take the kid to the school for the IEP interviews. You knew that from her?
Okay, overruled. He can answer it.
Your Honor.
You can answer it, sir.
Okay. Did I know that he was willing to bring him?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And as far as the district attorney asking you a question about, apparently she had nowhere to stay other than Harry's house, you knew that her family had a place in Belmont. You knew that it was empty, right?
I think that rings a bell.
Rings a bell?
Yeah, I think it sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. Okay. That's all I got.
Okay, you may step down, sir. Thank you.